Well, with my long's permission, I'm going back briefly to Fiona's murder and her death certificate, and Samuel McKinley, who murdered the man who was present at Fiona's murder. Complicated. And I don't know if you'd like an attribution here. I'm just quoting a line from an FB friend. I did note it many months ago. Didn't know quite what to make of it. Well, I did know it was all connected. If I may quote, I'll give an attribution if you'd like, Richard. Would have looked at UDA, Margate-based drugs criminals. UDA, Margate-based drugs criminals. Let's just go with that for a minute. There's more. Samuel McKinley was a member of the UDA. To be precise, he was an assassin for the UDA. He was a hitman. He murdered Robin John Stoddart, who was present at the murder of Fiona Green. Margate-based UDA. Fiona's death certificate states that she was born in Margate, which she wasn't. But I assumed, of course, that the death informant would have been her mother. And I couldn't think why her mother would lie about that. Well, her adoptive mother, my stepmother Ellen. This time I'll flash up a different bit. A bit about Margate. Her date and place of birth. Oh, 26th of June 1966, Margate. But of course, the death informant is not her mother. Am I saying that the coroner was crooked? Quite possibly. I was at the inquest, and he turned around. He overrode what the pathologist had said. He completely overrode it. So here I am going on record accusing the coroner of being bent. Certificate received from K.S. Wiseman, coroner for District of Southampton and New Forest. Inquest held 21st April 1994. That's the name and surname of the informant. Now, since Fiona was not born in Margate, and the informant was not either her mother or her adoptive mother, why would anyone say she was born in Margate? Only for the man who was present at her death to be murdered by a UDA hitman less than 2 years after her death. In this one sentence I have Margate and UDA. Would have looked at UDA, Margate-based drugs criminals. Fiona had just come off drugs. According to Robin Stoddart, she was 7 weeks clean. Then she gets murdered. And somebody says that her place of birth was Margate, which it was not. Not only is there no entry in any name I can possibly come up with, but her mother was living in Bromley at the time. Why the hell would she go to Margate to give birth? Somebody wanted Margate on that death certificate. Sorry about this, but somebody did. And it wasn't Ellen, and it wasn't Fiona's natural mother, Deirdre. Bloody Free BMD will not recognize the name Deirdre. Deirdra. Not Deirdre. Deirdre. Won't recognize it. Mind you, it didn't do too well with the surname Wilshire either. It went around as Wilshaw. It has its uses, but it's not very good. In that one line, I've got it all. UDA, Margate, and drugs. Almost as if somebody was trying to say, isn't it? This is something to do with the UDA. I did ramble on in a video the other night about the Northern Irish connections. I've rambled on about the topic before. One of the Northern Irish connections does happen to be my brother. Of the UDA, Ulster Defence Association. Please excuse the sniffing. It is part of the COPD. Comes and goes, mind you. About the last 2 days. Can't really escape. On the one hand, I have every indication that Fiona was a satanic sacrifice, a ritual sacrifice. Every indication. On the other, we've got a more prosaic connection to UDA. Now, Fiona was not a practicing Catholic, but her adoptive mother, Ellen. Well, her adoptive mother, Ellen, was not a practicing Catholic. But she did have a large crucifix over her bed, and she was born Catholic. Somewhere in this, somewhere writ large in this, is the Troubles. The IRA versus the UDA. And drugs, of course. Sorry, the minute I saw that on my FB friend's timeline, I was reminded of a conversation we'd had months ago. And I didn't quite know what to do with it at the time.